Hello, everyone. Today is April 16th, 2025. This is the Kubernetes Data Protection Working Group meeting. So let's see, look at the agenda. Let's see, what is the status for CPT? Does anyone want to give an update on this, Carl?
Nothing new. We're
Okay.
still trying to, couple of things. The blog, I think Prasad may be back from his family emergency, so maybe make some progress on that.
Mm,
And I'm still trying to nurse a doc change through the CSI driver, host path driver
okay.
thing. Yeah. And there's some, there's ongoing work on end-to-end tests in the repo, but yeah, nothing major change.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so that's the blog. Okay, then moving on to the next one. So I want to discuss the working group snapshot. There are some issues. So Ben, you are here. I know that we actually discussed this in the CSI community sync. And okay, so just to recap, because not everybody.
Did I miss that?
Oh, you were there. You were there, right?
Okay.
But then there were some concerns from others, so that's why I want to bring this back. I just want to, because let me first recap, because not everybody in this call is aware of this one. So the problem, let's just recap the problem. So the problem is the voting group snapshot. When we create a group snapshot, we get we get all the information for this group snapshot, right? Driver name and ID and everything. And then we also have a list of snapshots. So basically we have information for the snapshot ID, voting ID size, everything for each individual snapshot that is a member of that group snapshot. We have all of this. But then in our implementation, in our sidecar, we basically didn't really save all of this information, because at that time we don't really have a Kubernetes API object voting snapshot content that we can use to save it. So we kind of only saved the snapshot ID and the voting ID, and then we saved that in this voting group snapshot content status, which this particular voting group snapshot content status only has the snapshot ID and voting handle, snapshot handle, voting handle, but we didn't really save everything else, like the size, creation time. So then we were actually depending on the list snapshots to reconcile later at a later time. But then we found out later is because the list snapshot is not implemented by every driver. So for the driver that does not implement list snapshots, the size is not populated in the voting snapshot. Right. So that's the problem. And then we were trying to solve this. So there are a couple of options that we went over. So there's an option. So the first option is a API change, basically meaning now voting group snapshot content status. We have this voting snapshot handle pair list, which contains the snapshot handle and voting handle. So one proposal is to make an API change, so that in voting group snapshot content status, we actually have some voting snapshot info instead of just this, handles. Now we add the size and everything else that we retrieved after creating the voting group snapshot. So this is one option, which is to API change.
Is the current API alpha or beta?
It's a beta. So that was the fun problem that we have when we propose this. Is because it's already a beta API, so we're trying to say, hey, can we do not make an API change, because otherwise we need to support backward compatibility. So we need to support the original API as well. If we, let's say, have a V1 beta 2. So yeah, so that was the concern at that time. And then option two is to create a volume snapshot content in a sidecar after create group snapshot is called, because at that time we have the size for that individual snapshot. We can, if we can create volume snapshot content, then we can save it. So this was the one option that we I think in the CSI community sync, right? We are saying we're taking this approach.
That's my recollection.
Yeah, that's this one.
Remind me what the downside of this one is.
So downside, the downside is this one is it's kind of inconsistent, because for individual volume snapshot, we create volume snapshot content in the snapshot controller, right? So we have this separation, trying to make the sidecar simple. So we don't really create any API objects in the sidecar. We created them in the snapshot controller. But if we go with option two, that means if it's a group snapshot, we actually need to create the volume snapshot content in the sidecar. Then that also means, I think that also had some issue with this, like, the dependency. So now the sidecar will be dependent on the new API version. So there are some, complication.
And we'll have to change the RBAC.
Right, and all of that. Yeah. So this one was, I think, talked to a few folks in CSI side, they do not like this, because this is a really inconsistent. It's like now you are creating volume snapshot content in two places, depending on whether.
Right, but the big benefit of this one is it centralizes the pain. It doesn't force each individual CSI driver to go implement some new RPCs, right? Because the option three, which is change the CSI spec.
Right. Option three. So option three is, I think, yeah, option three, I guess we kind of do not like it, because at least not everybody can implement. So this is definitely is for staff. I'd ask them, they cannot really, there's no way they can implement list.
Right, well, what we talked about in the CSI meeting was
there's a get, the get.
Yeah, add a get, which is
Yeah.
effectively list with a filter,
right?
That you can separately implement, and then have the actually depend on that. And
Yeah.
the issue there is that from the CSI driver's perspective, like they already returned the size, so they already like did the thing they were supposed to do, and now we'd be coming back and saying, hey, actually, to support this feature, you also need to support this other thing. You need to be able to return the size two different ways.
Right.
And then that hits every single CSI driver implementer, which is the downside there. So that I think that's why we were pushing for option number two.
Right.
Because while it's inconsistent and gross, like it's inconsistent and gross in exactly one place, and we can just take the pain and do it.
Yeah, but I guess CSI side, those folks do not like rejected option two, like this one. So coming back to, I guess, is it possible to do we no? Okay, I think now so we added last time we were saying 2.5, right? So now, is it possible? Can we actually make guest snapshot required for CSI driver who want to support group snapshot? Would that be a possibility?
So what I think what I was trying to argue for in the CSI meeting is we should add get snapshot to the CSI spec no matter what. Like even if we take option one or two, like we should still do that, because it's a good thing to have.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
What option three requires is that like it becomes a required RPC in order to do group snapshots.
So I think option three is also kind of rejected, because they cannot. There's no possibility for staff to make this required. They cannot implement this one. Period.
Wait. They can't even do get?
No, they cannot list. Option three is list. Option four is
okay. Well,
okay. So let me.
Okay. Sorry.
I need to cross
I'm conflating it.
Yeah.
So yes, option four. Yeah. If everyone does get, I mean, make it required. Like that does solve the problem.
Get. Yeah. So basically now this is option four. Can we make option for the real option? That can we say if you want to support group snapshot, then you must implement get.
Well, we can do that. The downside is it looks weird from the CSI spec perspective to have said, you're supposed to return the size through the create, and then we say, actually, we're just kidding. You're supposed to return a different way. So everyone has to re-implement it who's already implemented something. And there's just the time lag associated with, adding a new CSI RPC, doing another release,
Right. Yeah.
pulling that into Kubernetes, et cetera. So it's like it'll delay the feature getting out of
Well,
beta.
so now option 2 is out is out from the CSI side. This is, I mean, the Kubernetes CSI side. This is out. So we cannot do. So if option 4 does not work, then we're going to go with option 1. This will also take a long time because that's
Well,
like
yeah. So I was
change.
going to say that the downside to option 1 is you have to do a beta 2, right?
Yeah,
You have to go from
that's
beta 1 to
also
beta 2.
that will take more time.
And
Yeah, because
and then the time lag associated with that is going to be comparable to the time lag of a new CSI release. So that's at that point, it's like a pick your poison. Do we want to centralize the pain and just do the beta 2 and have only have to change one piece of code, or do we want to spread the pain out among all the CSI driver
so that's
authors and say,
I don't think this is that painful, the gas snapshot. I mean,
it's not that painful.
it's only like a
it's just
couple of there was only like a couple of
yeah.
vendors who actually implemented the group snapshot anyway, right? So I mean, I don't think just now they need
But
gas snapshot is like a
but
big
you'll have a
thing.
situation where anyone who implemented the group snapshot as it is written now just won't work in the future, right? It'll just never work
No,
if they don't update their driver.
it will work if they have list snapshots, right? That was why we didn't detect this one. We did not find this bug initially. If they implemented list snapshots, it's not a problem. If they do not
Right,
have snapshot, then this is
but
already broken.
someone
I'm just saying.
who implemented this spec as written today
Yeah.
and chose not to implement list snapshots would just never be compatible. And that's just kind of a bad look. That's the main downside.
If they do,
We released a spec that was wrong.
I guess,
right?
yeah, I guess maybe we can ask those, whoever implement this one, if they are okay to do this, because right now, if they just don't change anything, what happens is they don't have the size in the in the individual snapshot. If they don't
Wait,
have,
so
if
you
they
mean
do not
it's
have,
literally
right?
zero? It's like it just
Right.
populates zero
It's
if you don't
not,
have
it
it?
does not populate anything. It's just not populated. I think it's like an option. It's an optional field anyway. The size is optional. It's not a required field. So it's basically it's just not populated, right? So it just doesn't.
But who consumes that size? Like if someone tries to create a new volume from that
So
snapshot,
I
does
don't
that
really know. I actually do not know really anyone who use that field, because like we do not use that field. We really have to look at the original size of the PVC when we create a PVC. So maybe actually
well,
here we actually have,
but
okay, hold on a second. Here we have a few backup vendors. So Carl, when you let's say, do you actually use the snapshot size for the backup or restore process? Do you actually really use that at all?
I think we reference it. I don't know for certain. I
You have I mean, you do have a workflow that you need to create a temporary PVC from the snapshot, right?
that is correct. Yeah.
But then you probably just use the original PVC size in that workflow. Do you?
It's possible because we have access to both data. So I mean, doesn't harm us that
hello, I lost audio. Anyone still here?
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
yes.
Sorry. I'm Michael here from IBM Fusion back from Restore.
Okay, I can hear you now. Was I the only one that lost it?
Looks like you are the only one we were talking. So there's not too much, I guess. Just I think Carl was saying.
Okay. Sorry, it's not my end.
Yeah, Carl was saying that Carl, you're saying you're not sure whether.
I'm not sure because we have access to both fields. I'm not sure
you have both, but yeah, but you'll be able to check this offline maybe later.
we could. Yeah, I can try and check it offline.
Because I think so. I think the problem is using that snapshot. That size is actually. I know some backup vendors have problems when they use that field, because because the vendor may not be using that field correctly.
Yeah.
If they only put the delta size there, then that's not going to be sufficient, right? So I know.
I thought there was a check when you create a PVC from a snapshot. Like if the snapshot
Oh,
is 2 gigs and the PVC is 1 gig, it'll say, "Hey, this isn't allowed because the
so that
PVC
is,
size has to be
so I think that is,
bigger."
I believe we have that one for, I think, yeah, I remember something like that. Like, no, I think that is only if
So
you have the size bigger. I don't think we check it if it's smaller, I think.
right. I mean, no, you're allowed to create a bigger volume than the snapshot. What you can't do is create a smaller volume than the snapshot
Right, but
because
a smaller
what the
one.
system will
Not
do
smaller than
is
the restore size. Sorry, Michael here from IBM
Oh,
Fusion
hi.
Backup Restore.
Yes. Hi.
We do in fact use that restore size unless it's not there or it's 0, then we fall back to using
So
the
have you
original
ever
PVC size.
actually ever run into problems? Because some backup vendors told me that.
Yeah, some of them return 0, which is allowed under the CSI spec.
So I mean, yeah, if it's not zero, if it's a non-zero, have you ever run into problems? Because actually some backup vendors told me they use that field that does not work. Because I mean,
Okay.
probably vendor did not return the right size. So
No, I've never.
okay,
We
but
haven't seen problems in the past. We've ever only seen it as 0 or the size that
have
was
you used, but
usable.
okay, but then what are the what storage do you, is this, you just IBM storage?
Ceph, yeah,
Okay.
Ceph, IBM Scale.
Okay.
Or another one we've seen used is we've had experience with it's Hitachi, NetApp, Topol VM.
Have you seen that they return a size that is smaller than the original PVC size?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I
then
know we've had issues where where it wasn't that the size was wrong, but on restore the storage system would start throwing quota exceptions even when it was not full already, but that was a scale
yeah, that's a
specific
different,
thing.
yeah, a different issue. Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
okay, so looks like so probably in your case, if that field is empty, then you will have a problem because you actually rely on that field.
We
Okay.
do fall back to using the
Oh, you
PVC
do get it.
size
Oh,
if
okay. So
it's
that's
not if
not.
it's 0 or not
I
available.
see. Okay, so then that's not a problem for
Yeah,
you.
we had to learn from the hard way from especially it was Hitachi that was the first one we ran into where they were setting that restore size to 0.
Oh,
wait,
okay.
wait, what if the snapshot size is 0 and the PVC is gone? So
We
all
store
you
that
have is
information elsewhere so that we keep the PVC metadata off
Yeah, I think
Google off cluster.
usually backup vendors would have saved that information.
Right.
but I mean, what if someone creates a statically provisioned snapshot so there was never a PVC associated with it? Like, can you just not use those for anything?
You can't use those for anything anyways. You can't turn them back into PVCs.
Sure, you can.
Oh, really?
Kubernetes lets you do
Okay.
that.
I guess
Yeah, yeah.
I think Ben,
Okay.
I think that depends on maybe the IBM those PVCs and snapshot the snapshot has a dependency, right? So that's different from the
Yeah,
Google.
we've
Yeah.
never supported just at least for backing up from a volume to accepting a previously
Well,
existing snapshot. So we've never
But
run into
like
that.
one use case for statically provisioned snapshots is if you want to copy a volume from one namespace to another, you would
Right.
take a
We
snapshot
do
in one
that.
namespace and then
Yeah.
statically provision
Yeah.
the same snapshot in another
Yes, we
namespace,
do
and then
that so that we can move it into our installed namespace so that we don't have to do
right,
security pollution into other namespaces.
Oh,
right. But so if someone just does
But
that,
Ben, hold
but
on.
we do keep the information from that original snapshot, so we still
So
have it.
Ben, for static provisioning, this get and sorry, not get, list snapshot is required for the size because that's the list snapshots is that's something that we are going to call for if you're doing static provisioning, right? So that actually, if they want to
Interesting.
support static provisioning, they actually should support that because otherwise, then they will just get 0 size. They should be aware of that, right? So I don't think that's.
but can't list just return a size of 0? Like you can implement it and it can still say
So
I don't know what the size is.
okay, so it works like this, right? So basically, if it's static provision, we're going to call list snapshots. If it's supported, of course, we validate that's it if it is there or not, right? But if it's not there, then we just fall back and then we just assume, your snapshot exists, right? Then the field, of course, you won't be able to populate that field. because it didn't provide that.
Okay, so it is possible for it to end up 0 in any case,
Oh,
and
yes.
for there to be no PVC to get the information from.
Right.
In
It is
which
possible
case, it
because
sounds like some systems will just not know what to do.
right.
So I'm torn because I think we should implement get in any case.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
And if we had done that, then 4 would be a no-brainer. Well, my main concern is just that we'll have to basically go back and retroactively say, oh, there's a new dependency for group snapshots that everyone has to go deal with, and anyone who just implemented the current spec and walked away will be left with like a non-working implementation. So we're sort of forcing everyone to take this modification, which is kind of gross.
It's not good, but maybe we can ask.
It does get us to a better endpoint. It's just more pain for more people.
Right.
And doesn't look so good, but
yeah,
all the options are not good. So
yeah,
I get that.
that's true. Yeah. So okay.
How does this show up from the application side of things? We've done some basic testing of volume group snapshots with Ceph right now, and we didn't notice anything
Oh, that's actually
untoward.
Ceph actually is the one that we discovered this bug because Ceph does not support list snapshots. That's
Okay.
why. Yeah. So
Okay, it was
so
FFS
yeah.
particular. That's
Oh,
probably an
Ceph
RBD thing.
I don't know Ceph FS or Ceph RBD. I don't know. It's just this.
There's a very big difference in the way they handle the snapshots.
Okay. I because they told me, I think it's Ceph RBD side.
Yeah, that would make more sense. What
They
they're
say
doing,
that they could not support list snapshots, I think.
yeah, the way they do it is that instead of is that for management purposes, they move from in version 1 they used to keep them as actual snapshots, but when they moved to version 2, which is now like several years ago,
Okay.
they moved the management of snapshots from taking the snapshot on the volume, then cloning the snapshot into regular volumes that have a parent image. And then sometimes they do have to flatten it so that they're independent. So once they've had to do that flatten, there's the connection between the original volume and the snapshot, which is now looks like an image inside of Ceph RBD, is completely lost.
Okay.
I don't know what they're going to be doing about that because the fact that the way you do this way also with RBD makes it as far as I know, with existing implementation of Ceph RBD makes it impossible to implement CBT.
Oh, okay.
Existing CBT change block differencing requests requires that the snapshot be left alone and not turned into its own separate volume image.
Okay. I don't know about that. Okay.
Is that behavior mandatory or optional? Like, can you get it to keep the original information so that
It is not controllable at the moment. The flattened behavior is to make it completely independent, but it is always cloned from the original. But on Snet, it creates its actual snapshot behavior for RBD is the snapshot then cloned to an actual volume.
So that suggests that nothing in Ceph is taking advantage of that delta information internally.
In RBD right now, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's not a great technical decision. I don't think that.
I was not privy to why they decided to change from keeping as regular snapshots to their own separate images in version 2. Sorry.
Not my problem. But okay.
Okay. So going back to this one, so okay, Ben. Okay, I don't know. How do we proceed? Should I bring this up in tomorrow's I think in the
So if we want option 4, like we have to do the thing we need to do anyways, which is like go amend the CSI spec to add a get.
Yes.
And then
and
just get that in, and then add verbiage that says, controllers that advertise, I guess you can't retroactively change existing capability, but we can spell out somewhere capability that says you need to have all the group snapshot stuff and get snapshot to be fully compliant, right? We can just write that into the spec in a way that tells vendors like you have to implement both of these things. I guess it'll have to be different capability in any case.
Yeah.
So we'll just say you need both of these capabilities to properly implement group snapshots.
Okay.
Or to properly work with the group snapshot sidecar. But I guess what I'm saying is like that's going to take some time.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, like you haven't committed to do option 4. You're just doing the work that you would need to do for option 4. And you still are free to do any of the other options if you change your mind.
Okay.
So like we should do that work anyways, is what I'm saying. And then if we still don't pull the trigger on 1, 2, or 3 by the time it's done, then we could just proceed with option 4.
Okay. Okay, I'll submit a PR. I will get this started. So I will. Okay, so I'll bring this up again tomorrow's 6:30 meeting because I think Sad is not aware of this.
Okay. I'm gonna miss that meeting, unfortunately. So
tomorrow you won't be there. Okay. Okay.
I'm volunteering at a place for work, and so it just happens to overlap with the meeting. And
I see. Okay, that's fine. So anyway, I think probably it's good to bring this up anyway for for everybody in 6:30 to be aware of this. I will just go over this briefly again, and we'll start this and see where we land, because this is, I understand this is going to take some time, right? Don't know how long it's going to take.
It doesn't. I mean, the adding the get snapshot RPC to CSI should be really easy, right? That's sort of a no-brainer. But then we have to do a release.
But if we are adding the language to say, hey, you you have to support, you have to implement this one if you want to support group snapshot, that language, that could be okay. But
I'm not worried about that. I mean,
okay. Oh, then that's
good. We should just add a new capability and the new RPC, and that should be like, there's no reason for that to take more than like a day, right?
Okay.
It's really easy.
All right.
Get that into the spec, then we can separately decide if we also want to write into the spec that you need both capabilities for group snapshots. But then the slow part is going to be releasing the new CSI spec and pulling it into Kubernetes, and waiting for all the vendors to actually implement the new RPC, and just the time that will take.
Yeah.
And because that should be a new sidecar release that consumes it.
Yeah, but I think that should be okay because we are talking about 1.34, 1.35, because that's 1.35. I think that's most likely for this one to go GA. So I mean, we have 1.33, but next week will be 1.33 release. So we have 2 more releases to go. I think we should be able to get this CSS spec release before that. I hope so.
Well, I just, in 1.34, we can release a sidecar that consumes the new CSI spec with all the changes. But if there's no vendors that have implemented it, like how will we get soak time and quality control? Like what if we implement it and then we find more problems?
Oh yeah, no, we need to take time, right? So we need to make sure we can have a couple of vendor implement get snapshot, right?
Yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is they can't even do that until 134 is out, and then you only have whatever time between when they implement the support for 134 and when we need to make the call for 135, which could be a very short period of time.
Okay, yeah.
I'm saying it could easily be 136 by the time we feel comfortable that everyone's implemented it and that it actually works and there's no other bugs.
So yeah, maybe if that's what it takes, then maybe we just need to do that, because if we go, because I think option 2 is out of question now. I think
is there a way to release a sidecar out of cycle?
Oh yeah, we can. Yes, we can kind of.
We can release a new sidecar that consumes the new CSI spec.
Yes.
Before 134 goes out and say, hey guys, take advantage of this new sidecar while 134 is still cooking.
Yeah.
That could speed things up.
Yeah, sure. We can do that. We have done that before. Yeah.
But that's probably the fastest way.
Okay.
But then you're up against individual vendors' release cycles, and a lot of them try to probably follow the Kubernetes release cycle, and they're not going to want to push software releases out in mid-cycle.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. So yeah. So I'm thinking because even like with option one, this is like API changes, very complicated. It's going to take a long time too. I don't think this is simpler than the CSI change at all. This is actually more complete.
Well,
you need to we need to do API conversion and all of that. So and also
you're saying because even
you'd
have to upgrade from beta 1 to beta 2.
Yeah, we need to do API conversion when you support the V1 beta 1 forever and all of that. So it's this is yeah, well so okay, so I think we'll at least let's get this started. We'll see how
I just want to be fair on option one.
Yeah,
all you'd be doing would be adding a new field, which would be like an array of sizes.
No, we actually need to deprecate this volume snapshot handle pair list because this name does not make sense anymore. We need to call it like volume snapshot info or something.
Okay. I see where you're going. I was going to say, like, if you're just adding a new optional field, the conversion can become a no-op.
Yeah,
but,
so we actually
if you want to rename it.
Yeah, it's like, then you have to go populate that, the new one from the old one, something like that. You have to do all kind of like what you did for the data source ref. Then you do something like that, right? Yeah.
Okay. All right. You've convinced me that option one is a bad idea. Because yes, that's super nasty.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just get this started. Let's see where we go. All right. So that's this. Let me actually add this one. Inclusion from BP working group meeting. Option 4. And then try to do option 4. Spec PR and that assumption. All right, thanks. So that's the first one. Anything else for this particular issue? Okay. And then the second issue actually also related to this one. There's a bug opened by Leonardo, basically found this also has to do with the list snapshots. So statically provisioned the volume group snapshot. When you delete the volume group snapshot, it won't be able to delete the individual volume snapshot because there's also a dependency on the list snapshots. So now if we have this get snapshot, I think this can be fixed as well. Yeah.
Wait. What is the dependency for deletion?
The problem is it was actually so we have this like the owner ref. So we basically decide the the relationship between group snapshot and the individual snapshot when it was an owner ref on the individual snapshot, and then so then when we delete group snapshot, the individual snapshot will be deleted because the owner ref information. But we add the owner ref information based on this call to list snapshots. Because the list when we call list snapshots, we will get the group ID is actually in that snapshot.
Okay, so you're saying this is another piece of information that's available at the moment you create the group snapshot, but because we don't record that in the API object until
this is
static later.
This is static provisioning. So this is static provisioning. So it's not like create, right? We don't really have a create because this is static provisioning. So we populate. So basically, user will have to create those those.
But how does static provisioning work with a group snapshot? What order do you create the objects in?
So user will actually have to go create those objects. Then we basically just
Right. But there's four objects, right? There's the volume snapshot, the volume snapshot content.
User will actually have to go create those individual ones.
What order do they create them in?
So they can create in different orders just because we will be responsible for the binding, right? So they will need to create the individual group snapshot content, and individual volume snapshot content. But we basically bind them together. That's the responsibility of the controller.
Yeah, I'm thinking through. So with snapshots, you create the VSC first, and then create a VS with that points to the VSC.
You can create. I think the order. Yeah, but I mean the order is preferred. You do that first, but then it's actually if you create the volume snapshot, it's also okay. It's because
I can't see where the list snapshot comes in because if you tell the system like, okay, here's a bunch of individual snapshots, and then I'm turning them into a group.
So the list snapshots, the calling of the list snapshot is basically trying to. So basically, we have reconcile, right? Reconcile. So when we see like the volume snapshot content, there are some reconcile. Then we call list snapshot. Just try to get the individual snapshot information. And then because list snapshot will show you in this snapshot is actually part of a group snapshot that has that name, right? So with that, we're going to populate the owner ref, basically, the owner ref thing.
But how does it know? Because I mean, there's a whole.
On the list snapshot, no, right? List snapshot. When you call list snapshot with the snapshot ID, you will get that information for that. You will get the whole information for that. If you come back to see.
Wait. You're saying list snapshot has information about groups? I don't think it does.
Yes, it has. Yeah. If you could do list snapshot, because you will have group snapshot ID, yes. So when you call list snapshots, each individual snapshot will have all the information about this particular snapshot, including this group snapshot ID, because that is part of your snapshot message, right?
No, this is you're looking at create.
No. Yeah. But the list snapshot should populate snapshot. Same thing, has nothing to do with if this is a create or not create. When you call, so when somebody call list snapshots with a snapshot ID, the same.
I don't have my laptop with me. Can you show me the list snapshot RPC with the response that includes this information?
Okay.
I just don't believe that it's there.
No, it is there because that is in the snapshot message. It's in the snapshot message because we added that. Okay, but you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So if you go to but it's the same thing as get snapshot, right? It's just each individual snapshot will have that information. So okay, so let's. Okay, good. Hold on. Let me show you.
The gRPC message is an array of snapshot messages. You're saying the message has a field for group, but it's an optional field, so it can be blank.
Oh yeah. If it's blank, then that's blank. Then you don't have that, right? But you're supposed to fill that out if you're part of a group. That's the point, right?
Right. But there's systems like NetApp that don't know that they're part of a group, right? Because you take a group snapshot and it just creates a bunch of snapshots, and then they all forget where they came from, and that's part of the design. So like what I'm trying to figure out is like who's supposed to remember the snapshot was in a group.
But if they do not know, then they have a problem, right? Then
not really like that, because it doesn't matter that they're part of a group, right? Like Kubernetes can remember that they're part of a group, but like as far as the storage system is concerned, it's just a bunch of individual snapshots.
You're saying that you're absolutely sure that NetApp will not know. They basically just treat if you call.
No, I'm saying that the NetApp storage system down at the bottom, it doesn't care, right? When you create a group snapshot, it just takes a bunch of snapshots and then forgets that they were ever part of a group. Like the layer above could remember and then could fill out this field and it could be correct. But I'm saying it wouldn't add any value because the storage system doesn't care, right? It just created you 5 snapshots that happen to be at the same time. But from that point on, they're just 5 snapshots.
Yeah, but now it cares, right? Because if you want to do static provisioning, we don't know. Kubernetes does not know. You have to tell us, right? We can't.
But we don't have to tell you, right? That's what I'm trying to get to.
But then, okay. So the reason we
just have
want
a bunch of snapshots.
Okay, let me tell you the reason we want this information is because we want to be able to, when we delete group snapshot, we want to delete the individual snapshot together with it. That is the whole reason. So if you
Right, but what if you don't want that? What if I want to create the group snapshot and keep the individual snapshots? Can I do that?
But that's not the design. But that's not part of the design. The design that says you have to delete them. The design is that you have to delete them together. Otherwise, it's just not right.
Right, but there are storage systems that allow you to not do that. So I'm saying, suppose I want to avail myself of that possibility, I want to delete one of the snapshots, but not all 5 of them. Like, shouldn't I be able to do that?
That's not the design. So, okay, so we're trying to look at this message. Right. That's the group snapshot ID. Can you see this?
Yeah, it says the field is optional if the snapshot member is a member of group snapshot and it must not be deleted as a standalone snapshot. Then the SDK must provide the ID of the volume group snapshot in this field. If provided, the CO must use this field, yada yada, as part of the specified group snapshot. If not provided, the CO shall treat the snapshot as independent, and the SP shall allow it to be deleted separately. So that was the whole thing, right? If as a NetApp style group snapshot where it's just a bunch of individual snapshots, it would leave this field blank, and the spec says then you must not link them together and just treat them as a bunch of individual snapshots.
Then that's the case. That's okay. If you don't, then we just leave them alone, I guess. If you don't feel this, if you do not feel this, then yeah, basically we don't really know your group snapshot, I guess. Okay, we have this one there. I do not remember this part. Okay.
Because this is the thing that I insisted that we have.
Okay, yeah.
Because I knew about the systems that don't tie them together.
Okay, so we have this. So if they do not, then maybe that's not a problem then. I mean, we just say, if you so then this is not a bug even. Because we allow
so you're saying if the system does leave that field blank, and then the right thing will happen.
Okay, I guess this one is like they don't even implement this snapshot. I guess this is a little different. They don't even implement. But I think the result is the same.
But in the return value of create snapshot, they can also leave the field blank. Right? They can just say, like, I just created you a bunch of snapshots, but they're not associated with the group snapshot ID. So they just blank out the field. Like, the right thing will happen, and you will get no owner refs assigned, right?
Right, but then how do they kind of use them? They just
you just clone the snapshots individually.
Right. How do they know? I guess
and you delete them individually.
How does the application know? I mean, or user, how do they even know they are together? Because
the group snapshot object will list them. So if you want to go figure out what the names of the individual snapshots are, that's all the information is there in the API. But if you delete the group snapshot, none of the individual snapshots will go away because they're all individual freestanding snapshots.
Can we say this is actually not a bug, or should we still? I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm leaning towards, is that we don't actually depend on list snapshots for correct behavior. It's just if you want them to be linked, then you have to include that information in list snapshots for static provisioning to work.
So another thing is if they don't, if they really want this one to be part of this, but they couldn't implement list snapshots. We could also say, hey, if you really want to do this, you can also add the owner reference manually. They can, right? If they want the volume snapshots to be deleted as part of the deletion of the group snapshot, they can also manually add the owner ref. I mean, if they want.
No, I like the idea of adding a get snapshot RPC and allowing the drivers to return this information so that the sidecars can automatically do it. We should just be very clear that it's always optional. You can always just not implement it. You can always leave it blank. And the behavior you get is a bunch of individual snapshots with no owner ref, and that's fine.
Okay, that's fine. I completely forgot this part. It can be independent. All right, I'll add this later. Yeah. So this one is kind of not really a bug. I mean, but we just need to kind of understand what is expected. Yeah. Okay, cool. I think that now that's clear. So, okay, so those are the two issues that I added there. Are there any other items folks want to discuss in this meeting? No? Oh, okay, let's see, there was something on the chat. What is that? I added this one earlier.
So Xing, are you gonna write up the PR
I
for
will, yeah, I will.
CSI spec?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, just feel free to tag me whenever it's
Yeah,
there, and I'll expedite the review because I want to see that go in.
okay, awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, you guys were just talking about the group snapshot. I just pasted
Oh,
the.
you guys, oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we can add it there. Yeah, so I will add some notes and see, this is the. All right, then, I think then add an action item for me. Okay. I think then that's it for today then. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thanks, Xing.
Thanks.